All right, in part two of this video, we're going to see how to finish up your composition, putting together these composited layers of video and graphics, and then we're going to export them into a video format that you can share out. So this is where I left off last time. I have all of my HUD elements in there. I've added some nice glow. I'm just going to put a couple finishing touches on this and then export it. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take all of these graphic layers that I have here from the heads up display all the way to Thanos. And I'm going to hold down shift and select them all so that all of these are going to get put into a group, just like we've done in Photoshop and Illustrator. In After Effects, though, a group is called a pre-composition. And the way that you do it is you right click that selection and you choose pre-compose. Okay, now it's going to ask you to give it a name. Let's call this holograms. And you'll notice that it's now put all of those layers into a single layer that we can mess around with at the same time. Okay, if you ever need to adjust any of those layers, you just double click it. It opens up a new tab and it shows you all the individual elements inside. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to close this tab and go back to the main composition. One thing that you'll notice happened though is that it got rid of my screen effect here. So I need to switch back from normal to screen mode so that it shows up on top of my video clip. Very cool. All right, so now let's put a couple effects onto this. I'm going to go over to my effects and presets menu, and I'm going to type in one that will give us that kind of wavy old video screen look to really make this look like a hologram, and it's called Bad TV. In this box, we're going to write the word bad, and you'll see that there are 3 different versions. The one that I see that works the best here is called Bad TV Old. I'm going to drag this effect down onto my holograms layer. And when I let go, you'll see that it applies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different effects to this to get that old style look. Now, some of this I'm going to turn off because I don't really like all this noise and this. We can see the edge of the video clip now. So I'm going to come over to the noise adjustment and I'm just going to click this effects icon to turn it off. And that way it's not interfering with the rest of my effect. Okay. Now, the other thing that's happening here is we've got some wave warps on it that are really causing all of these elements to be distorted. Let's turn these way down. I'm going to turn the wave height to 10, and I'm going to turn the wave width to 1. Okay. And that gives me a real subtle kind of wavy old TV screen look here that makes those holograms look like they're floating right on top of my face. Especially this crosshairs now looks like it's being projected onto the subject. Okay, if I roll this back and I hit spacebar, we can let it render out. If you don't want to hear audio while it's rendering, you can turn off this little speaker down here, and that gets rid of any sound effects that might have been trying to come through. Okay, we don't necessarily need to hear it for this part of it. All right, and we can see our progress bar here as it starts to render out, or I can skip around and just get a quick preview of how it's going to look. All right. Last effect that I want to do is inside the helmet is kind of a rounded oval shape. So we're going to put a mask over all this that makes it look like it's fitting inside that round helmet. To do that, we'll come up to the top here. We're making sure we're still on the holograms layer. We're going to choose the oval tool, just like Illustrator, and we're going to hold down Control and drag to create a mask, an oval shaped mask that extends out from the center of the screen. Okay. And you'll notice it's going to cut off part of your graphics. That's okay, because one of the adjustments we can make on this mask, if we go over here and we open up the mask, we can change its feathering so that these edges get softer and they kind of fade into the darkness of the helmet. So now you'll notice all your holograms are starting to fade off into the darkness around them, which is a really cool look. All right, if I click off of this, I think I'm just about done. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, I've got my sound effects in there. I can turn those back on now, and I'll turn the hologram sound effects on, and let's go ahead and export this. So in After Effects, you're going to come up to the top and you're going to go to Export, Add to Render Queue. A new bar will take the place of your timeline down here. This is called the render queue because you can literally line up projects to render one after another. Okay. What we're going to do is change a couple of these settings down here, and they're marked in blue, the three things that we need to change. So let's click on this first one, and we'll do quality. Let's just do a draft quality for this. Resolution is 1920 by 1080. That looks pretty good. And then we'll hit OK. Right here for the output settings, we want to make sure that it says H264. So let's click on this text. Format is H264, which is basically an MP4 video, like any of the videos you see on YouTube or online. That's going to be a really small file size that we can share out. And then we'll hit OK. And then finally, it says, where do you want to output this to? We're going to click this blue text here, and we're going to point it towards our desktop, and we're going to call it your name, HUD. Okay. Hit save. And then finally, hit the render button over on this side. After Effects will then go through your project one frame at a time and render it into a video. And you can follow its progress with this little status bar down here in the corner. Okay, so it's going to take a couple minutes. I might pause the video and we'll come back to this when it's ready to save out. All right, so now it's finished rendering. You'll hear a little chime go off that tells you that it's complete. And if we go look on our desktop, we should now see. So if I go look on my desktop, I can find it right there. That's Roper HUD. It's an MP4 file, so that is video. If I double click it, it'll open up and I can see my final result. Looks pretty good. All right, so that's all there is to it. To wrap up, make sure you can follow those steps to export a video clip. And then this will be your first step to designing your own inside the helmet video that you're going to create using footage that you take. All right, we'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye.